If there's one thing tennis fans will never forget about Wimbledon, it's the 2010 match between American John Isner and French player Nicolas Mahut. The match lasted a whopping 11 hours and 5 minutes and spread out over 3 days. It was a grueling test of endurance, with both athletes pushing themselves to the limit.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to darkness, play suspended.
Everyone wants to see the end, but they have to come back tomorrow.
Isner eventually came out on top, winning the fifth and final set 70-68.
It is over. A sporting embrace between these two fantastic combatants.
We played the greatest match ever and greatest place to play tennis.
Now, for the non-tennis fans out there, most ATP tournaments are played in a best-of-3 sets format, meaning once a player wins 2 sets to 6 games, they win the match. However, the ATP has 4 special tournaments each year. Widely known as the 4 slams, these tournaments are the Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, and the US Open. And the special part of these tournaments is on the men's side, they play a best-of-5 sets format instead of the traditional best-of-3. Before the Open era, there were no tiebreaks in any set at the Grand Slam tournaments. A set was won by winning a 6-game set by a margin of at least 2 games. In another extreme example from the first round of Wimbledon, 41-year-old Pancho Gonzalez defeated his fellow American Charlie Pasarell 22-24, 1-6, 16-14, 6-3, and 11-9 in a match that stretched over 2 days. Since the end of the Open era, many players critiqued the antiquated format. Taylor Fritz, a top-level American player, went on record and said, "Ultra-long final sets make it all but impossible for the victor to advance much further in a tournament." The Isner-Mahut match reached so much mainstream fame that the HBO mockumentary 7 Days in Hell, with starring actors Adam Sandberg and Kit Harington, mocked the endless 5-setters. In 1970, a tiebreaker at 6 games all was introduced at the US Open for all sets and was gradually adopted by the other slams. Then, in 2019, the Australian Open and Wimbledon followed suit, but in different ways. The Australian Open opted for the extended first to 10 points tiebreaker at 6 all, and Wimbledon adopted a traditional first to 7 tiebreaker at 12 all. The French Open continued to play out the 5th set, which left the 4 Grand Slam tournaments with different methods of resolving decisive sets, a discrepancy that confused fans and players alike. Famously, in the middle of the 5th set of the 2019 Wimbledon men's singles final, Novak Djokovic had to double-check with the chair umpire when the tiebreaker would be played. Due to the widespread confusion, the Grand Slam tournament leaders clearly wanted a tidier solution. Then in March of 2022, the Slam board announced that all 4 major tournaments will put in place a 10-point tiebreaker at 6-6 in decisive sets for both the men and women. This marked the official end of near-endless marathon matches. But why did Wimbledon change their rule? Wimbledon cares so deeply about tradition that women were not even allowed to wear colored undershorts until 2022, as men and women players must wear all white during Wimbledon matches. So you'd be right to assume that they're a little stuck in their ways and may not be willing to change. Well, as they say, just follow the money. The Isner-Mahut match had a significant financial and organizational impact on Wimbledon. The match went on for so long that it disrupted the schedule of other matches, causing delays and rescheduling. The tournament had to extend its working hours to accommodate the match, which added to the cost of running the tournament. Additionally, the match became an unexpected attraction, drawing in more spectators who wanted to witness history being made. In total, the match cost Wimbledon an estimated £500,000 in extra costs. It isn't a coincidence that some of the greatest matches of all time went into the tennis equivalent of overtime. Bjorn Borg's victory over John McEnroe in the 1980 Wimbledon final went to 8-6 in the 5th set. Rafael Nadal's victory over Roger Federer in the 2008 Wimbledon final went to 9-7 in the fifth. Djokovic's victory over Federer in the 2019 Wimbledon final went to 13-12 in the fifth with a tiebreaker at 12-all. At the French Open, Monica Seles' victory over Steffi Graf in the exquisite 1992 final went to 10-8 in the third, and Jennifer Capriati's victory over Kim Clijsters in the 2001 final stretched to 12-10 in the third. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think marathon matches are out of the question. Consider the 2012 Australian Open men's final between Djokovic and Nadal, the longest singles final in Grand Slam history. They played for 5 hours and 53 minutes and were so spent by the time Djokovic finished his victory that both needed chairs at the end of the award ceremony. And that match ended 7-5 in the fifth. With Wimbledon right around the corner, it'll be interesting to see if any new marathon matches will manifest. But one thing's for sure, the Isner-Mahut match will go down in history forever as the longest tennis match in the history of the sport.